Let's begin in West Africa, where Nigerian Senate has inaugurated an ad hoc committee to probe the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari over the 30 trillion naira ways and means advances from the Central Bank of Nigeria, which was approved by the 9th National Assembly. The National Assembly is probing ways and means through which the current economic hardship came to be and ascertain why citizens have been plunged into crippling deprivation. Inaugurating the committee on Monday in Abuja, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, noted that unraveling the mystery behind the advances remains key in understanding the country's present predicament. According to Akpabio, the success of the investigative panel hinges on collaboration, cooperation, and steadfast commitment for the benefit of Nigerians. He charged the committee to leave no stone unturned in pursuit of the truth about 30 trillion naira ways and means loans advances.
As it is charged with the investigation of the ways and means of about 30 trillion, including the expenses or otherwise, utilization, success or failures of the Anchor Borrowers Program. To the members of this esteemed committee, I implore you to approach your responsibilities with the utmost sense of patriotism, professionalism, and integrity. Your scrutiny or investigation demands impartiality and fairness, always keeping the public interest and the welfare of our nation at the forefront. You must leave no stone unturned in the pursuit of the truth. The success of this ad hoc committee hinges on collaboration. It also hinges on cooperation and a steadfast commitment to the common good.
Meanwhile, Senator Abdul Ningi, who represents Bauchi Central Senatorial District in the National Assembly, has clarified that he never suggested that President Bola Tinubu is implementing two budgets or that he was biased against the North. The chairman of the Northern Senators Forum, however, said he is ready to carry his cross, even if it means suspension from the Red Chamber. Ningi clarified that he stands his utterance as a senator and not the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum that has been established beyond doubt that the 25 trillion naira was rightly allocated in the budget, citing three parameters, that is, money, project, and location, but cannot ascertain the project location for the other 3 trillion naira. Meanwhile, a lawmaker from Ondo South Senatorial District, Jimo Ibrahim, has asked the federal government to charge Senator Ningi to court for criminal misinformation and breach of peace in the National Assembly and the country by extension. Away from that, the National Executive Council of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union have declared a 7-day warning strike starting from March 18. The union said the declaration was made to demand the payment of 4 months of withheld salaries of their members by government after the 2022 nationwide strike. Recall that President Bola Tinubu had directed that workers in the public universities that embarked on a prolonged strike in 2022 but were not paid salaries within the period of the strike by the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari should be paid for 4 months. While the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation has paid the Academic Staff Union of Universities the 4 months as directed by the President, the 3 unions of non-teaching staff are yet to be paid. President Bola Tinubu is set to launch the student loan scheme on March 14. Special advisor to the president on media, Ajirin Galale, who made this known, emphasized the significance of the National Student Loan Program. He described it as a crucial step towards alleviating financial burdens for Nigerian families and young people during challenging times. The student loan scheme stems from the Access to Higher Education Act 2023, signed by the President on June 12, 2023, with the aim of providing interest-free loans to indigent students pursuing higher education in Nigerian tertiary institutions. The Act also established the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, to manage loan requests, grants, disbursement, and recovery. The Nigerian government has issued a stark warning, revealing that schools in 14 states and the Federal Capital Territory are under imminent threat of attacks by bandits and insurgents. National Coordinator of Financing Safe Schools in Nigeria, Halima Iliya, who made this known, said data on at-risk schools had been compiled for intervention. Although Iliya did not disclose the states, Commander Hamid Aboduri of the National Safe School Response Coordination Center said they include Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Benue, Yobe, Katsina. Amid these warnings, the nation remains in shock as the scourge of mass abductions persists. Over 465 pupils, teachers, and women abducted in the past week remain in the custody of their captors. In a bid to address the ongoing farmers-herders clash in Nigeria, the federal government has launched a pilot cattle ranch in Yobe State. The National Agency for the Great Green Wall Initiative aims to provide a sustainable solution and reduce the frequent clashes between these two groups, the farmers and herders. News Center's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
It has been a long-standing conflict between farmers and herders that has been a major source of concern in Nigeria. The government is strategizing on a pilot cattle ranch in northeastern state of Yobe.
And we felt that it is right time for us to intervene by establishing a cattle ranch for that farm that will enable the herders to be positioned in one place without necessarily migrating and without necessarily encroaching into farmers' land where there will be a crisis that could not be avoided.
The pilot ranch, a joint effort between the government and local stakeholders, will serve as a model for future ranches. The initiative is said to be replicated across 11 Nigeria's northern states impacted by climate change.
The value chain related to livestock is quite enormous, that if it can be tapped very well, it will transform the Nigerian economy positively. We can shift away from fuel to go to livestock, because the potentials contained in the livestock sector is quite enormous, that is enough to transform the Nigerian economy positively.
To ensure its success, the federal government, through the National Agency for the Great Green Wall Project, has commenced capacity building training on cattle ranching in Yobe State. The training seeks to equip herders with modern ranching techniques, herd management practices, and livestock value chain operations.
Cattle rearers, the Fulanis, they are here in this training. I think you have heard them. And then the community leader, that is the person representing the emir of Uguru, he has talked to us in our language that we understand.
If government brings in the infrastructure and provides the ranches, and then you can bring them water and fodder, I believe they will stay in one place and then they will do their business for the benefit of all of us. What you see now is because they don't have land, they don't have where to go, and then all the land is now farmers. They are farmers, and they move into this place and there will be clashes.
It is hoped that through this initiative, not only will conflicts be reduced, but also economic opportunities will be created for both farmers and herders. In Yobe State, for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
It's been 3 months since the Court of Appeal declared Aaron Uzodike of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, of Aba North State constituency, winner of the seat. But he is yet to occupy the position following continued delay of his inauguration by the leadership of the State House of Assembly. This development has created a vacuum in the chamber of the Abia House of Assembly, where a constituency is with no representation. News Center's Chinwe Ugele reports.
It is a 24-member unicameral State House of Assembly. Out of this number, 11 were elected under the platform of the People's Democratic Party, 10 Labour Party, 2 Young Progressive Party, and 1 All Progressives Congress. However, on the 15th of June, when the 8th Assembly was inaugurated, the Labour Party produced the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Minority Leader, and also the Majority Leader, sparking a protest from the PDP members. By By November of 2023, the number of Labour Party members in the House depleted by one as the Court of Appeal sacked Destiny Nwagu of Aba North State constituency and declared Aaron Ezewuike of the People's Democratic Party the winner of the election. Since the verdict, the leadership of the House is yet to inaugurate Ezewuike.
The Court of Appeal gave the judgment. INEC complied immediately by issuing me with that certificate of return. I submitted it to them. So what is their problem is exactly what I cannot tell.
Former Commissioner for Information and Strategy in Abia State, John Okiyekalo, is therefore calling for the removal from office of the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Mr. Emmanuel Emerowa.
My call is also for him to be appropriately banned from holding public office for life. Because you can't be a lawmaker and a lawbreaker at the same time.
The former commissioner also said the People's Democratic Party is exploring all avenues to get the State Assembly do the needful.
One of the things PDP can do in this case is to support Aaron Ezewuike to return back to the court and commence contempt proceedings to commit the Speaker to jail.
The special advisor to Governor Alex Otti on media and publicity, Mr. Ferdinand Ekoma, blames the setback on a litigation.
I'm not aware of any undemocratic action that the House of Assembly has taken. Like I explained, this is purely a legal matter. They said immediately or any day that order is vacated that they will definitely obey the decision of the court.
In the center of this dicey situation are the constituents of Aba North who since November are without any representation. In Omahia News Central, Chinwe Ugeli.
In the meantime, Director General of the National Pension Commission, Aisha Dahir Umar, has denied claims that the commission lent 10 trillion naira to the federal government. This comes after the House of Representatives passed a motion in October tasking its Committee on Pensions to recover alleged borrowed pension funds totaling 10 trillion naira. Dahir Umar dismissed these allegations, emphasizing that PENCOM is not a financial institution and does not manage or lend pension funds. She clarified that the federal government did not receive a loan of 10 trillion naira from the commission. She emphasized that investments made by pension fund administrators in government securities are not loans, but rather investments in approved financial instruments such as bonds and treasury bills as regulated by relevant government agencies like the Debt Management Office and Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, Nigeria faces a worsening blackout situation as hoodlums have once again vandalized critical infrastructure, exacerbating the country's power crisis. The Transmission Company of Nigeria reported on Sunday that the Shiroro-Katampe 330 kV transmission line had been vandalized, marking the fifth such incident between February and March of this year. According to TCN spokesperson Ndidimba, the vandalism occurred at approximately 9 a.m., leading to a trip in the transmission line. He noted that efforts are underway to mobilize for conductor replacement pending completion of security operations at the site. Mba, however, assured that despite this setback, the second line remains operational, transmitting at full capacity to Abuja. Nigerian Muslims, like their counterparts globally, have commenced the month-long fasting period in the month of Ramadan. This year, Ramadan comes amidst the rising cost of food prices and other commodities. Nigerians are hoping for a drop in the soaring prices of commodities, especially food items. President Bola Tinubu has since called for increased charity among privileged Muslims in the country. News Central's Adeshawa Udushoga reports.
From dawn to dusk, Muslims in Nigeria have joined other Muslims globally in one voice and action to abstain from food and water and refrain from uttering vulgar words and actions at the commencement of Ramadan. The ninth month in the Islamic calendar was chosen as the month of fasting and spiritual advancement due to its association and close affinity with the revelation of the Holy Quran. The month has a native fasting period of 30 days or sometimes 29, depending on the sighting of the moon. In 2024, Ramadan begins on the 11th day of March.
In Islam, religious activities are determined by nature. Our yearly activities, one of them is fasting. You do it only once in a year, which is mandatory, for a whole month.
For you to seek very, very, very good knowledge of what Allah designs the world to be and how you are going to live in it and how you are going to enjoy the privileges of being alive while others have died. And the third one is for you to have guidance on how to maintain your living in the world.
In Nigeria, the holy month of Ramadan is coming in the middle of economic hardship, rising cost of food prices, soaring inflation, and worsening hunger among many who are below the poverty line. President Bola Tinubu has since urged wealthy individuals to assist the poor in society to alleviate their suffering, particularly during the Ramadan fast.
They should try and bring down the price of commodities. They can do that by flooding the market with their own various kind of commodities. They can import rice from any China, Malaysia, and bring it out to the masses at a subsidized rate. So, and it will force the market down.
If government can open the border for just first maybe 3 months or so, everything will normalize again. So that is the only way, because if we continue planting something today, it will not be harvested today.
Some major components of Ramadan include Tahajjud, which is the prayers offered individually after midnight, Taraweeh, which is the prayers offered at night in the congregation, and Laylatul Qadr, particularly blessed night among the odd nights of the last 10 days of Ramadan, to mention a few. In Lagos for News Central, Adeshawa Odushoga.
To Health Matters, Nigeria in the last 5 years has lost about 16,000 doctors to the Japa syndrome, while about 17,000 had been transferred. The Nigerian government also said there are 55,000 licensed doctors in the country to attend to the growing population of patients following the exodus of health professionals to hospitals and health facilities abroad. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, said the brain drain syndrome has robbed the health sector of its best hands. He also affirmed that the government is doing its best to expand the training scheme and motivate others who choose to stay back and serve their fatherland. Experts met at the 6th United Nations Environment Assembly held recently in Nairobi, the capital of Kenya. They said a transformation of the global economy is urgently needed to curb the threats to nature and humankind caused by plastics. The production and use of plastics have grown exponentially over the past decades. This comes with consequences and costs for the environment, both marine and terrestrial, human health and the climate. News Center's Bettina Uweli reports.
The life cycle of plastics could be responsible for as much as 19% of global greenhouse emissions by 2040. With the limited carbon budget available, this would put the Central Paris Agreement goal of holding global average temperature rise under 1.5 degrees Celsius out of reach.
Together, we need governments to deliver a new treaty on plastic pollution and to massively increase finance for sustainable development and for climate and biodiversity action in developing countries. I urge countries to deliver our proposed SDG stimulus. And all commitments made by developed countries must be met.
According to the Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, CAPA, Lagos tops the list of about 60 million plastic sachet water bags consumed and disposed of daily in Nigeria, and also generates about 870,000 tons of plastic products, drink bottles, packs of sachet water, and plastic bags annually from the combined total of 2.7 million tons generated throughout the country.
We are talking about like the informal sector, recycling companies that depend on collections of PET bottles and all of that. This will affect them. But then it's pros and cons. we are looking at the long-term environmental sustainability.
We have once lived without plastic. There was once a Nigeria without plastic, and we survived. It is very much possible, but I understand that the convenience of plastic is quite blinding. But I would like to say this: convenience at the cost of our lives and future is too expensive.
Not only is plastic waste contaminating food, water, and oceans, with plastic litter making up 85% of marine waste, the production, use, and waste management of plastics also generates about 4% of total global greenhouse gas emissions.
We need to get the message across to people that we as a humanity, as Nigerians, can no longer continue this way. We have to have a very radical, dramatic change of our attitudes. Because right now, what is really causing it is that we're putting profit ahead of people, ahead of planet. Profit is the main thing. And whilst obviously, making the money is important, but you want to make money at the expense of your planet's life support system?
Only 1 to 1.5% of plastics produced in the world are bio-based, that is, derived from biomass such as corn, sugarcane, or wheat. And less than 10% of the world's plastic is recycled. Experts agree that both decarbonizing plastic production and ensuring the plastic life cycle is circular are key solutions to the problem. In Lagos, for News Central.
Still in the West, the candidate for Senegal's ruling Benno Bokk Yakaar coalition, Amadou Ba's campaign rally has been held in Ezewuike, a suburb of Dakar, ahead of a March 24 presidential election. Ba promised to create 1 million jobs over the next 5 years if elected as president. The vote had originally been due to take place on February 25, but President Macky Sall plunged the West African country into its worst crisis in years on February 3, while postponing the election just before campaigning was due to begin.
Et je me suis engagé à créer 1 million d'emplois sur les 5 années à venir.
am nañ ci yaakaar bu baax a baax ndax Benno Bokk Yaakaar nekk na coalition boo xamante ne depuis 2012 moo ngi existé depuis 2012 bi mooy suñu 14e élection te yàlla dogal na yëpp ñu ngi koy gagné kon am nañ ci yaakaar bu baax a baax ne fañ daan jaar dinañ fa jaaraat ànd ak suñu ay responsable politique ànd ak le candidat Amadou Ba ba ndam li inshallah.
Amadou Ba nekk nit ku dëgg nit ku maan nit ku yaru nit ku xam boppam kenn xamalu ko dara boolewul dara ki wax moom la ñuy xëy suba ba ngoon jot di wër 5e président baara dee ak rasulullah lii la ñu wax Amadou Ba Amadou 5e président Amadou Ba 5e président.
Amadou Ba c'est le meilleur. Amadou Ba c'est le candidat idéal. Amadou Ba c'est l'esprit du Sénégal. Amadou Ba c'est un homme d'État. Amadou Ba c'est l'homme qui a des valeurs. Amadou Ba c'est le meilleur des meilleurs candidats.
South Africa's opposition Inkatha Freedom Party has launched its general election campaign at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban in front of a mass of supporters. The party's leadership vowed to root out crime and corruption among the pressing issues facing the nation.
In the history of our country is experiencing a number of problems: unemployment, crime, load shedding, corruption, and the list is endless. The IFP is going to come tough when it comes to the issue of crime. You know, if you want to deal with crime, you must be tough on crime and criminals. You must introduce stringent measures that will send a message to criminals that South Africa is not going to be a banana republic anymore. The IFP will also introduce consequence management. Whoever go wrong, whether it is an official or a political representative, We will not allow corrupt leaders to continue earning salary out of the taxpayers' money. Look, the Zondo Commission pointed out clearly who are implicated amongst cabinet ministers nationally and members of the National Assembly. They are still there earning salary out of the taxpayers' money.
Ngize lapha nje ngithole okuhlukile kakhulu imanifesto ebihamba ngokuthi ebithula upresident. It's a 13 plan manifesto. Izinto akakhulume ngazo ukhuluma ngokuthi uzonyusa izinga lokuthi ugesi unabusahamba i-load shedding. Bazo introduce i-nuclear ukuze ikwazi ukulekelela amandla kagesi ephinde futhi naseyinkampanini kahulumeni.
Second point engipick upile drugs attention. Intsha yethu iphelele lapho ema-drugsini. We're looking at ukuthi what's the causes. Sikhipina amaphoyisa ukuthi they need to be at local communities. Kube nama-containers amaphoyisa amaningi kungalokho kube nama-distance amaphoyisa ukuthi abe kude nomphakathi. The third one, the economy.
Still in the Rainbow Nation, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has criticized opposition Democratic Alliance Party for requesting the US and European countries to observe the upcoming elections. The DA had in a letter sent to US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and European Foreign Affairs ministers sought monitoring for the elections. Ramaphosa condemned the move, calling it disingenuous, adding that it undermines regional and international monitoring bodies such as the Southern African Development Community, African Union, and the United Nations. The ruling African National Congress also criticized the DA, accusing it of compromising South Africa's sovereignty. South Africa's elections are scheduled for May 29, with polls indicating a potential decline in the ANC's share of the vote due to widespread dissatisfaction with the economy, public service and corruption. Eswatini has denied rumors circulating on social media alleging that the kingdom is facing a shortage of men and offering nationality to citizens from Southern Africa to address this purported issue. The government dismissed the claims, saying the notice is fake. The fake letter, purportedly written by King Mswati III, had suggested that men from Southern Africa could marry wives in Eswatini and receive free houses from the kingdom. The authenticity of the letter remains uncertain, and it is unclear who authored it. However, the government has moved to quash the rumors, emphasizing that the kingdom is not facing a shortage of men. Eswatini, Africa's last absolute monarchy, maintains a population of approximately 1.2 million people. In the east of the continent, representatives from Ethiopia's federal government and the Tigray regional state have started talks in Addis Ababa to end the delays in implementing the Pretoria Peace Agreement. The deal, brokered between the two parties and signed in South Africa in November 2022, aims to bring stability to the region after the conflicts between the Tigray People's Liberation Front and the federal government that started in November 2020. Challenges in implementing the agreement have caused tensions, prompting the African Union to mediate discussions to find a resolution. The Pretoria Agreement addresses issues such as power sharing, regional autonomy, and resource control, aimed at resolving the conflict's root cause through negotiation. Let's also tell you that authorities in Uganda have halted the recent ban on meat sales in the capital Kampala following an outbreak of foot-and-mouth disease. Minister for Kampala City and Metropolitan Affairs, Minsa Kabanda, said the ban had been halted while the government assesses the impact the disease had had on the capital. The minister also urged the public to ensure animals undergo testing before slaughter to prevent further spread. Last week, health officials imposed the ban and ordered the closure of slaughter places to contain the spread. Foot-and-mouth disease has been reported in 40 districts across Uganda, according to local media reports. In Central Africa, tensions rose within Burundi's main opposition party on Sunday as a faction announced the expulsion of its leader, Agathon Rwasa, citing his failure to unite the party's two factions. At a General Assembly held in the northern part of the country, Party sources and witnesses confirmed Rasa's removal as the head of the suspended National Freedom Council. The 60-year-old former militia leader was replaced by Nextom Girukwi Shake, a senior executive at a state-owned company. Meanwhile, the party's Secretary General, Simon Bizimungu, has condemned Rasa's ousting, asserting that it violated the party's constitution. Bizimungu accused Interior Minister Martin Niteretse of obstructing Rasa's attempts to hold his own General Assembly on March 2, alleging that he authorized a small group of 10 dissidents to seize control of the party. To the north of the continent now, the leaders of Libya's rival government have agreed to establish a unified government, marking a crucial step towards resolving the country's prolonged political deadlock. The agreement was announced in a joint statement on Sunday following talks held in Cairo, Egypt, facilitated by Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abou Gate. Leaders at the meeting affirmed the urgent need for a unified government to oversee long-awaited elections and consolidate sovereign positions. The formation of a united government represents a significant step forward in Libya's quest for stability and national reconciliation. Libya has been in turmoil since the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. Cillian Murphy has become the first Irish-born winner of the Best Actor award as Oppenheimer swept the Oscars. The film dominated proceedings, winning Best Picture, Best Director for Christopher Nolan, and Best Supporting Actor for Robert Downey Jr. Murphy was named Best Leading Actor for his acclaimed portrayal of theoretical physicist Robert Oppenheimer. He thanked Nolan and producer Emma Thomas for the wildest and most creatively satisfying journey they took him on. The ceremony saw them win 7 prizes, while Poor Things took 4, including Best Actress for Emma Stone, and The Zone of Interest scored 2. An Austrian court on Monday overturned a lower court's decision that 88-year-old incestuous rapist Joseph Fritzl be transferred to a regular prison from a prison psychiatric unit. The court also sent the case back to the lower court for a new decision. Fritzl, who has now changed his name to one that has not been made public, raped his daughter and held her captive for 24 years, fathering her 7 children. A court in the town of Krems ordered the transfer in January, but prosecutors filed a complaint aimed at overturning that decision to the Vienna Higher Provincial Court. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh says the Palestinian militant group blames Israel for the failure to reach a Gaza ceasefire deal, but it is still open to continuing negotiations. Haniyeh said Israel had not yet given a commitment to end its military aggression, pull out its forces, and allow displaced Palestinians to return to their homes across the Gaza Strip. He said the group is determined to defend its people and at the same time seek a negotiated solution. In the meantime, Hamas is open to forming a unity government with the rival Fatah Movement of Palestinian Authority, President Mahmoud Abbas, and other factions.
أقول لكم بكل وضوح أن الذي يتحمل مسؤولية عدم التوصل لاتفاق هو الاحتلال وحكومة العدو الصهيوني، لأنه لا يريد أن يلتزم بالمبادئ الأساسية للاتفاق. ومع ذلك أنا أقول بأننا منفتحون على استمرار المفاوضات. العدو حتى الآن يتهرب من إعطاء ضمانات والتزامات واضحة، خاصة في موضوع وقف إطلاق النار، أي وقف الحرب العدوانية على قطاع غزة. حتى قبل ساعات من هذه الكلمة كنت على اتصال مع إخواني الوسطاء، لم نتلقى إطلاقا أي التزام بهذا المعنى. إذا تسلمنا من الإخوة الوسطاء موقفا واضحا من الاحتلال بالتزامه بالانسحاب ووقف العدوان وعودة النازحين، جاهزين إلى أن نصل إلى استكمال حلقات هذا الاتفاق، وأن نبدي أيضا كما قلنا مرونة فيما يتعلق.
Police say 5 of 6 cross-country skiers who went missing in the Swiss Alps over the weekend have been found dead, with the search still on for the last person. The group of skiers aged 21 to 58 and including 5 members of the same family left the luxury ski resort town of Zermatt on Saturday with the goal of reaching the tiny village of Arola later that day, but never arrived. The skiers vanished near the Tete Blanche mountain, which is located at an elevation of more than 11,480 feet above sea level when a storm was approaching. Head of Wallis Cantonal Police, Christine Varon, said the weather conditions were catastrophic with freezing temperatures and significant avalanche risk.
À 18h30, une équipe de tête qui était composée de 2 sauveteurs spécialisés, d'un médecin et d'un policier du groupe montagne a pu être héliportée et déposée à proximité de la cabane de la Dent Blanche. À 21h18, les secouristes arrivent sur place aux coordonnées que nous avions pu établir. Et c'est là qu'on découvre malheureusement 5 des 6 personnes décédées.
The tenure of Dr. Bashir Jamo as the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency came to an end on Sunday, 10th of March 2024. The presidency seems undecided yet on who to succeed him. Pending this, Jamo has handed over to the Executive Director in charge of Finance and Administration, Chudi Ofodile, who would act until a substantive DG is named by President Bola Tinubu. Bashir Jamo was appointed as the Director General of NIMASA on the 10th of March 2020 by former President Muhammadu Buhari. Before he was appointed Director General, Jamo served as Executive Director of Finance and Administration at NIMASA. Aisha Dahir Umar, the Director General of the National Pension Commission, refutes claims that the commission loaned 10 trillion naira to the federal government. The House of Representatives had instructed its Committee on Pensions to recover the alleged funds in October. Dahir Umar clarifies that PENCOM is not a bank and does not manage pension funds, emphasizing that the federal government did not borrow 10 trillion naira from the commission. She asserts that investment by pension fund administrators in government securities are not loans, but approved investments traded on authorized markets. Dahir Umar underscores that pension fund assets amounting to 19.6 trillion naira are managed by licensed PFAs and held by pension fund custodians in accordance with pension laws. Oil pushed lower ahead of U.S. inflation data and reports from OPEC and the IEA this week that they may provide clues on the demand outlook. Brent futures fell below $82 a barrel after dropping 1.1% on Friday, while West Texas Intermediate was under $78. Prices still remain in a tight trading range. Investors are watching for a possible hotter than expected U.S. inflation read on Tuesday, which could muddy the path for monetary policy. Oil is coming off its least volatile week since late 2021 as the market juggles competing bullish and bearish factors. OPEC Plus production cuts and Middle East tensions are being offset by rising supply from outside the group and persistent concerns around the economic outlook for top importer China. Angolan champions Petro de Luanda defeated Cape Town. Ivory Coast's Africa Cup of Nations hero Sebastian Haller will sit out his country's upcoming internationals this month due to injury, according to new coach Emes Farr. Haller celebrated for his crucial role in Borussia Dortmund post-testicular cancer, scored the decisive goal in Ivory Coast's 2-1 victory over Nigeria in last month's final. Despite battling an ankle injury earlier in the tournament, he made a remarkable recovery to contribute 2 crucial goals, including the title-winning goal. However, the 29-year-old striker is now sidelined once again with a similar injury, missing the first 2 matches since their Cup of Nations triumph. Ivory Coast faces Benin on March 23 and Uruguay 3 days later. Absent from the victorious squad are captains Sage Aurier and Fiorentina forward Christian Kwame, both sidelined due to injury and health issues, respectively. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Nigerian Senate is set to probe ex-President Buhari's 30 trillion naira Ways and Means advances. Talks on implementing 2022 Pretoria Peace Agreement has opened between Ethiopia and Tigray. South Africa's Inkatha Freedom Party launches election campaign. To send your eyewitness reports to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on socials. That's News Central TV. We're live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you as always for your time. Have a good evening.